what has empowered mean to me is to realize that I have control over my own life, And so um, when you feel out of control, you got to take your control back of your routines and your daily habits. And I keep saying habits and routines because I feel like that's where you can get a lot of empowerment is having a routine. Because not only does it help you continually move your mindset and your body in the right direction with your health and your mental health, but also it gives you that element of control that you have some time to yourself every single day. And that's very empowering as well.
You're a health and wellness specialist, board
Uh-huh.
certified surgeon, author, entrepreneur, founder of a Next Health Center. And then you have your own podcast, Extend Podcast, that you talk about health and you bring a lot of good guests to talk about health and longevity
Yeah.
and things like that.
Thank you. Yes, I.
Yeah. So now I'm going to start with, did you always wanted to be a doctor?
You know, I was always interested in biology and health when I was a kid, basically. I mean, biology was something that was a topic that was very interesting to me. And I think I had some familial pressures to become a doctor as well. A lot of people in my family are doctors, but I really enjoyed it, from the very beginning. And I
Okay.
went to medical school very young. I finished high school a little bit early, so I was able to graduate with my MD when I was 21 years old. So I started very young as a doctor in surgery, and it gave me the ability to practice for 30 years. So I've been practicing 30 years now.
My God, 21 years old. A lot of people don't even know what to do with their life. And here you're a doctor and you're already starting your life. How is that experience for you?
It's been crazy. I mean, the good thing about it is that it's afforded me the opportunity to have multiple careers in medicine. My first career was doing general surgery, trauma surgery,
Yeah.
working in emergency rooms. And then I went on to train at the Mayo Clinic in reconstructive surgery, so post-cancer reconstruction. I did that for many years, and then I actually did some cosmetic surgery for a while. And then now, as of 8 years ago, I started doing longevity and health optimization, and actually retired from doing surgery a couple years ago. So
That's so great. And longevity and healthy life is the most popular topic right now. And as we get advanced more and more, people are learning more information about longevity and health. And there is so much information out there. The good news is that we do have the information. The bad news is that it's so overwhelming for some average people that are starting to learn about health and longevity and healthy lifestyle and what to eat and what to do. It can get overwhelming.
absolutely. And this is one of the main things I talk about with all of my patients, Valerie. I always say, look, there's a lot of information out there, and you can go down the rabbit hole so far that you get paralyzed. You get analysis paralysis. You're over burdened with so much information, you don't know what to do, that you do nothing. And that's the most
Yeah.
dangerous thing to get into because what I tell people is to follow the Pareto principle. The Pareto
Okay.
principle states that there's 20% of the information that's going to give you 80% of the result. And that 20% of the information is what's really going to move the needle. Once you get that right, then you can start going down the rabbit hole more if you want. But you'll be surprised. There's not a lot of information out there that really moves the needle massively. And we could talk about some of those things, but that's the important part of this.
Yeah. And I like that you have a center, Next Health Center. So first of all, what inspired you to open that? Obviously, we can kind of tell, but what are some things you do over there for people to get that 20% and then start in the right track to be more healthy and have a healthy lifestyle?
Yeah, so what inspired me to do it was, being a surgeon, I was working a lot. I was stressed out. I was working 14-hour days. I didn't sleep well. I ate just, random things, fast food, restaurant food, and I became unhealthy myself. And what I found out that really moved the needle for me was number one in the nutrition front to just completely stay away from ultra processed food. It didn't matter what I ate as long as I did not eat the ultra processed junk at the center of the supermarket. I automatically lost weight. I automatically got healthier. What I also realized on the exercise front was it didn't matter if I went to the gym for 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours a day. In fact, if I went to the gym less, it was actually fine. But the key there was to stay mobile all day long, not be sedentary. Okay. So I think
Mm,
people confuse going to the gym as being able to counteract the effects of being sedentary. Sedentary is when you're sitting for more than 4 hours a day, right? So
okay.
instead of going to the gym, instead what I did was I got myself a walking desk. I walked 3, 4 times a day. I always made sure I got at least 7,000 steps a day. That
Okay.
made me healthier than going to the gym, you know? And so those are
Right.
the kind of things, that's a Pareto principle. This not being sedentary is key. You have to make that kind of the base of your health. Not eating ultra processed food is key. They have to make that the base of your health. Sleeping 7 hours a night is a base habit as well. Once you get those base habits in place, everything else you do is just gravy, you know?
And when you say it like that, it sounds so simple, right? It's not
Exactly.
that complicated because people are making stuff too complicated. They're
Right.
counting the calories and they're going to the gym, they're lifting weight and they're getting more tired. And then they stay up late to finish the work and all of that. But it makes so much sense, like you said, that the simplest thing to walk and to eat healthy, start from there. So for somebody that wants to eat healthy, this is what I do. Tell me if I'm kind of on the right track. I eat almost everything as long as I buy it fresh and I cook it at home.
You're exactly on the right track. If everyone did that, we would not have the rates of obesity and metabolic syndrome that we have today in the United States. It's just what you just said there is the perfect diet, basically. And then it
Yeah,
doesn't matter if you're carnivore or vegan. It doesn't matter if you
doesn't
follow,
matter.
the South Beach diet or the Mediterranean diet. None of that really matters. Then that's all extra stuff that we can do to even make our health even better. But it's really is buying it fresh and cooking it at home that makes all the difference.
Because my theory was to see, okay, if you want to have bread, right? In order for us to make bread, it take longer time to make it. And cookies and things. Think about stuff that they're saying bad. If you can make that at home, it's very, very time consuming. By the time you bake it, you don't even want it anymore.
Right, right,
You
exactly.
know? It's that
Yeah,
mindset that you see it and you're like, I crave for it. Can I make it? Not really. I just want to forget it. I don't want to eat it. But that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand, just because we're so busy. We're
yeah,
so busy. We want everything in our convenient, and we just, like you said, go in the market and buy stuff that's already ready, or the drive-through, pick up the food, and come home and eat, and it adds up slowly and slowly adds up.
yeah. I mean, as humans, our primary goal every single day before all this technology came around,
Mm-hmm.
find food to eat. That was our only goal every single day when we were cavemen, right? Is let's make sure we stay alive and we find food to eat. And now it's become the exact opposite. The last thing we think about is our meals. Everything else takes priority, and then our meal becomes the last priority until we get hungry, and then we eat the fastest, most convenient, cheapest food, right? And it should be,
Absolutely.
we need to aim back to where food has become a priority for our lives. And we focus our attention on the quality of our meals and the experience around it and the familial bonding and social time around it. It's so important. They do this in Europe where they have 4 hour meals in Spain and they have quality ingredients. They haven't gone so far away as we have in the Western world.
Yeah. So would you say that that's in order for somebody to start from the beginning, mindset is the biggest thing that they have to think about. So tell me, if somebody wants to start healthy life, how they can shift their mindset from all of these information and all of these things.
Yeah, I think there's two or three things. Number one is we talked about it, the Pareto
Hmm.
principle. Focus on the one piece of information that's going to move the needle the most. And so those are in every category of health, there's one of those pieces of information. Okay.
Hmm.
Secondly, it is to become the CEO of your own health again. And what I mean by that is you need to be in control of your health. Do not outsource your health to the Western medical system, to your primary care doctor or your OBGYN. They're not incentivized to take care of you in the same way that you're incentivized to take care of you. They're incentivized to treat you for a disease that you have. Obviously,
Hmm.
if you don't have a disease, there's nothing there for them to do. And
Right.
so then there's not much they're going to offer you, right? So you have to become
Hmm.
the CEO of your health. And what I mean by that is there's no CEO or no boss that runs their company without looking at numbers on a daily basis, right?
Correct.
You know what your revenue is, you know what your expenses are, you know what your profits are.
Hmm.
Your health is the same way. You have all these numbers that we don't even track anymore because we think that our doctors tracking them for us. And those are called our biomarkers. Our
Right.
biomarkers are some blood tests that there's about 10 of them that I talk to my patients about that everyone should know what it is because they start changing 20 to 30 years before you get a disease. And so you want to know what those 10 biomarkers are and what's the optimal range of those biomarkers. Okay.
Okay.
And there's some blood tests, there's some other, there's a special scale that I have people get called a bioimpedance scale that gets you your skeletal muscle mass and your visceral fat. Those are very important too. And then the third thing I would say is kind of combines these two is you have to take personal responsibility for your health.
Mm,
And so personal responsibility means that you don't let other people tell you what to do for your health. You decide what
mm.
for you, and everyone is different, and if when you have to experiment on yourself and you have to figure out what works for you rather than listening to 20 other people telling you what to do, you see.
Right, right. Now, is there anything that you do when a patient comes to you, any test that they have to do in order for you to determine what where they at and what is that called and where they can have that?
Yes, yes. So we do a series of tests on every single patient when they come in. So the first thing we do is a series of blood tests. And so we take about 2 vials of blood. We're measuring blood biomarkers that your normal doctor does not measure. We're measuring levels of inflammation. We're measuring your metabolic health. We're measuring your hormone levels. We're measuring your cardiac risk markers using blood tests that most doctors don't do until you have symptoms of a disease. And by then it's too late.
Right.
Um, Second thing we measure is we put you on a special scale that tells us your skeletal muscle mass, your fat mass, and your visceral fat. I don't care what your weight is, but I do want to know how much fat you have and how much muscle you have. Okay.
Okay.
Next thing that we do is we measure your blood pressure. And most people never get their blood pressure measured more than maybe once a year, doctor office, or never. Blood
Mm-hmm.
pressure is a silent killer. It's something that people experience even as young as 20 years old, and they live with it for years and years and years when it's already caused a lot of damage. So those are some of the markers that we're measuring initially, depending on what you're wanting to look for. So yes, definitely we can make that. We do those evaluations.
Just to start a healthy life, and without, like you said,
Yes.
by the time you have gone to the doctor, it's too late. And God forbid if you have a chronic disease that comes in a way and you wanted to avoid that. So definitely I would recommend for people to take that test. So
Yes,
what
exactly.
are some of common mistake people makes with their health and that how they can avoid them? Like, yeah, some of them common mistake that we probably don't know, and the doctor sees us and they're like, no, you shouldn't be doing that.
I think there's certain things that are pretty intuitive to people. Like you shouldn't smoke, you shouldn't drink so much alcohol, you should move more, actually go to the gym and exercise. I think people know these things, but I think the mistake that they make is not knowing what those biomarker numbers mean when their doctor is checking them. And so, you should get those numbers, say, I want a copy of that, and go look it up on the internet now. We have all the information in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
What does this number mean? What should it be, and what should be my optimal range, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's one mistake I think that people make. I think the second mistake that people make is there's not enough emphasis on managing their stress levels. I think people
Mm-hmm.
think that stress is a psychological issue that they can manage within their brain, but really stress is a brain issue and a body issue. It's a psychological issue and a biological issue. And there are
Okay.
things that we need to be doing on a day-to-day basis to decrease the level of sympathetic stimulation we have and increase our parasympathetic. Our sympathetic
Okay.
is our fight or flight, our parasympathetic is our rest and relax. And
Right.
the ways you can do that is using techniques like breath work, like taking time for self-care, maybe get a massage, go to the sauna. There's meditation, journaling, reading, taking time off every single day to do a few minutes, if not a couple hours worth of self-care is so important.
Right, because a lot of people saying that to do meditate, right? Or meditate or journal, have a gratitude, things like that. We take it that as in like, okay, I wanted to self-help. But from the medical perspective, it's really important because you're
Mhm,
slowing down that breathing. You kind of like calming your mind down, high
mhm.
potential. Like, some people are always on the go, 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 go. So which eventually causes a lot of problem and stress on the body. And I always feel like when you go to the doctor, it's kind of too late because you're hearing your body and telling you something is wrong, right? Now, when it comes to breath exercise, I heard that if you like, is there a technique that we can do? Because I heard that in the morning you can do rapidly fast 20 to 25 to 30. Is that something that you recommend?
Okay, so here's the thing about breath work, just to sum it up for you.
Okay.
There's three things you need to know. Number one is we are built to breathe from our nose. So
Okay.
most day you should be breathing through your nose. If you find yourself breathing through your mouth, you want to switch your mentality and breathe more through your nose, okay? Especially at nighttime too. So a lot of people, they sleep with their mouth open, they're snoring, they're breathing a lot through their mouth, and there's techniques that you can do to increase amount of breathing through your nose. Okay, number one.
Hmm.
Number two, your breath is connected to your nervous system. So there are receptors in your diaphragm, there's a vagus nerve, and these nerves and these receptors of your nervous system change how your brain functions based on how you're breathing. So the slower you breathe, the more your body thinks and your brain thinks that you're resting. And the faster you breathe, the more agitated and sympathetic you get. Okay. So
Hmm.
in the morning, if you're having trouble waking up and getting going, fast breathing is excellent. It's called a breath of fire. It activates your nervous system, it activates your body. Okay.
Right, right, right.
Um, at night or when you're stressed or when you need to relax, you have to slow down your breathing. There's a breathing technique called box breathing, where you breathe in for 4 minutes, 4 seconds, hold it for a count of four, breathe out for a count of four and repeat and repeat and repeat. It's called box breathing, 4, 4, 4, 4. There's also a technique called I think it's called 4, 5, 8 breathing, where you breathe in for four, hold for five, out for eight. Okay, so there's different breathing techniques you can use to slow down your breath, and that slowing down of your breath decreases the amount of sympathetic activation and increases your parasympathetic. And it's not, like you said, it's not self-help. This is not something that's psychological. This is
Right.
actual physiology because your breath is changing how your nervous system is reacting.
Right. Because the more oxygen you get to your body, the more healthier your body is. And notice that a lot of people that also, when they sit down for a longest time, they get that tingly feeling in their feet, right?
Uh-huh.
Because the blood circulation is not really going. And that's another thing that a lot of people, and you said that, I'm glad you mentioned that as you're working, like you said, don't sit more than 4 hours. So if you're sitting for 4 hours, they should get up and walk around for
Yes.
10 minutes or something and come
Actually,
back.
what you should do every day, it's called exercise snacks. Now, this is very well researched in the literature. Every 45 minutes, if you get up and move around for 5 minutes, that counteracts the negative effects of being sedentary. After 4 hours, every hour you spend sedentary increases your rate of mortality or death by 10% in earlier death. So absolutely, before 4 hours, you want to get up and move around to be 100% counteract almost all of the effects of being sedentary. Every 45 minutes, you should move around. And you want to do something like just walk around the office building or do some jumping jacks or lift some weights or do some squats. Every 45 minutes is key. So I actually have here, you can see my egg timer here that I'm showing you. This egg timer, I set it to 45. And when this goes off, I leave my chair and I go walk around. I actually have a walking desk. That's what I'm standing on right
Right,
now.
right, right.
I actually walk while I'm working as well. So definitely want to stay mobile throughout your day, not be sedentary.
What about, do you have that extended desk that you move up and down? Is that something is good or no, not really?
I'm not a big believer in standing desks. I find a lot of people that stand for extended periods of time in one location, they actually end up not burning more calories. They end up having more problems with their veins in their legs and more joint pains. Walking is key. So if a walking desk is better than a standing desk.
Oh, right. Okay. So there's a lot of cutting edge when it comes to longevity and treatment or technology. Right now, what excites you that's coming up that you're excited to announce to people to say this is what's coming up that you have to use in order to have a longevity?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of exciting things coming right now. There's a lot of AI that's being built to look at blood biomarkers and your health and give you personalized recommendations. So I think we're going to see a massive revolution in utilizing artificial intelligence to really personalize our healthcare. Secondly, is going to be there's a lot of science going on at a cellular level of what causes us to age. And so we're going to see a lot of pills and tools that are developed by research scientists to actually stops aging at a cellular level. At Next Health, one of the treatments we're using is a treatment called plasma exchange. This is a 3-hour treatment where we hook
Hmm.
you to your machine and we actually do an oil change for your body. And we remove your plasma and we replace it. And your plasma is where all the inflammation, the cytokines of inflammation, the immune complexes, the toxins live in your plasma. And so we got actually replace it with fresh new albumin. So you get kind of a reset or an oil change for your body. So this is something that we're doing at Next Health. There's also medications called peptides that are coming out that a lot of people are using and that we really are big fans of as well. So there's a lot happening right now. I think we're going to see in the next 10 years, massive overhaul in how people stay healthy.
It almost like a custom design for your own body now. This is
Yeah,
the newest exciting thing coming up because people back in the days we used to try and error, see what works for you and what's not. But the more information you have about somebody's health and plasma and blood, it's almost you custom designing that particular treatment for that person that you know is almost 95% of the time is effective.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
A lot more data telling us for your body, is this treatment working?
Yeah. So is there any tool that you recommend people should have while they're living their life so they can measure their longevity and their healthy life?
I mean, I think the basic thing that everyone should get now is find a wearable device that you like that tells you how your sleep is during the day, your activity, and your stress levels are throughout the day using a marker called HRV. So I like to wear a Aura ring, which is a ring around my finger. A lot of my patients wear a Fitbit or they wear a Whoop band. And this gives you data every day and educates you on what's going on in your body.
Oh, you wear a ring. That's a new I heard. I heard about the Fitbit, but the ring is pretty cool.
Yeah, the ring is really cool. It's called the Aura ring.
The Aura ring and also
Yeah.
almost like a your
OURA, yeah.
energy as well, right?
hmm
I read your book, Making the Cut.
hmm
So it's a very powerful. It had a lot of stuff inside of it that I read, and I was very excited about it. So,
Thank
what is
you.
one key takeaway that you want everybody should know about that?
So
Haven't read
making,
it.
yeah, Making the Cut is a book that I wrote in my career as a plastic surgeon. And so I told you I had multiple careers in medicine. I
Yes.
spent the last 10 years in cosmetic surgery before I started in health and wellness. And during that time, I found that many people were looking at plastic surgery as a quick fix. And in reality, the plastic surgery either would not work for them physically or psychologically because they weren't mentally or physically healthy enough to do the plastic surgery. So the big takeaway of the book is how to prepare yourself both from a mental and a physiological level to have the best possible results for each surgery. And so before you do any type of plastic surgery, I highly recommend you read this book because it will highly prepare you both from a physical standpoint and a psychological standpoint to have the best possible results.
Oh, that's a good tip because today's society, plastic surgeries are very, very common.
I
And a
know.
lot of young people are getting it. And I think for me, the dangerous part is that if they put you under anesthesia, regardless of what. So I think that's something that they should know that's not always healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I think anesthesia is very safe now, but the problem is when you do anesthesia when you're not healthy. So it's kind of the opposite. You want to be at your maximum state of health before you undergo anesthesia. So a lot of people are having anesthesia that are not healthy and they're seeing complications from the anesthesia.
So do you recommend that people that are wanting to get a lot of surgery should do it in a little bit younger age than waiting till 60 and 70?
I mean, there are 60 and 70-year-old people that are healthier than people that are 20 years old. But absolutely. I mean, the younger you do it, the better. But the key takeaway is you want to be at the maximum state of health.
So what was your biggest uh, thing that you did for your health that changed your life? Besides like stopping when fast when you were working as a surgeon, is there anything that you did that changed your life?
Yeah, after I got my lifestyle in order, okay, which means decreasing my stress levels, improving my sleep and amount I sleep, eating healthier, all the things we talked about earlier. The biggest hack I could tell you that worked the best for me was hormone replacement therapy. So, I was 40 years old. My hormone levels were in the garbage level, they were nothing. And I started hormone replacement therapy after I couldn't get my hormones up naturally. And it completely changed not just my physiology, but also like my brain, And so a lot of people, men go through menopause, women go through menopause. And this is where we lose our hormones. And hormone replacement therapy, we know now it is completely safe. It is beneficial to have hormones because you want to be at the physiology that you were at when you're in your 20s. And the only way to get that sometimes is by hormone replacement therapy. And so that was something that really moved the needle for me, and I'm still on it. And I love it. And we have thousands of patients on it that are doing it safely and very happy with it.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was recommended to do that when I got my menopause, but
Mhm.
I'm very scared. I heard a lot of stuff. I did my research, and a lot of people said don't do it. But like you said, I mean, how important it is when you get your menopause. Can you get naturally those stuff back, or at least to the level of normal, or no? As you would recommend hormone therapy regardless of what?
Yeah, look, menopause or menopause, it's impossible to get your natural levels back because this is something programmed in our DNA. We
Okay.
are genetically programmed and our tissues are tired and they can't make the hormone levels that we need anymore. Now, I
Mm.
think we're scared because there's a lot of old knowledge out there based
Yeah.
on flawed research studies. The research studies are totally flawed. We know now that all the studies are flawed. They've been retracted. And we know now the hormone therapy is safe. We've got hundreds of studies showing not only is it safe, but it prevents disease and it leads to better health span and lifespan. So I would not be scared of it if I were you. I would find a
Okay.
skilled practitioner, a really good doctor that knows how to do it, and go for it and give it a try. As long as you know all the risks and benefits and you understand what we need to be monitoring for, you're going to actually prevent Alzheimer's disease, prevent cardiac disease, prevent cancer by being on a good hormone therapy regimen.
Wow, that's so great because I was so hesitant. When I went through my menopause, I gained a lot of weight. Then I
Mhm.
run to the gym and I was working out really hard. I put more stress on my body because I was panicking. And
Yeah.
then I did all my research, and then they were like, you have to go to the thing. And I got my weight to the level of that I am okay, but I'm not to the weight that I was or I'm comfortable with. And
Mhm.
then after that, to be honest with you, Dr. Shah, I didn't know a lot about it. So it was kind of good
Yeah.
for me. But when I read that, oh my God, you're losing your hair, you're doing this. And I was like, oh no, that's really dangerous. So I'm glad you mentioned that it's safe now because a lot of women that are listening right now, they probably like, I was afraid of that to do. I don't know if it's recommended or not, but it's so advanced now. So, and especially like you said, that if we have to do the test before to make sure everything is okay and then go to the hormone therapy, I think that would be the best way to do it.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Do all the testing, find someone, don't just buy them online. I think there are some good places doing it online, but I think it's always good to have that personal relationship with a medical practitioner that's going to really help you understand what needs to be done for your body and also understand what changes need to be made over time. It's never static.
Mm. Let's talk about hydration. What do you think about hydration? How much water somebody should drink? Coffee, tea? They're saying coffee is good for you, but then they're saying it's not good for you. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, coffee is known to be a stimulant and also something that leads to better health if you take it in the right dose for your body. Okay. So there's different levels of caffeine metabolizers. Some people are very slow metabolizers. They can only have one cup of coffee a day. Fast
Mhm.
metabolists could probably have two or three a day. You definitely don't want to use coffee after noon because after noon, everybody is going to disrupt your sleep on almost everybody. Okay.
Mm.
Other than that, you want to make sure your coffee is sourced well, which means that you want to find coffee that has been responsibly grown, doesn't have mold, doesn't have other problems with it. And so finding good quality coffee is very important. I would say that there's a lot of alternatives to coffee as well. There's different mushroom blends that give you a little stimulatory effect, MCT oil. So if you're just using it for the stimulatory effect, then there's other alternatives to try that could be even healthier or better for you. I don't think coffee is unhealthy per se. It's just that I think people drink a lot of coffee, and so it disrupts their sleep is probably the main problem with it. As far as hydration goes, I think obviously it's very important to stay hydrated. Don't trust your thirst. As we age, our thirst is not it's not correct. You're only getting thirsty when you're really, really, really dehydrated. Trust the color of your urine. Your urine needs to be a very pale yellow. If it's a dark yellow, it's or you're not urinating, you're dehydrated. So keep drinking water until you're urinating every few hours. Um, the other thing about hydration, I would say, is get your hydration mostly from water. A lot of people are trying to get juices and, hydration drinks and all these things that have a lot of added sugars, a lot of added colorings, etc. So mostly from water. And also which water you're drinking is important. Bottled water has microplastics in it, so I would stay away from bottled plastic water.
Plastic water.
Yes, if you're drinking water from a tap, make sure it's filtered. If you're at home, if you can invest in getting a reverse osmosis system for your kitchen, that'll completely remove all of the toxins that have built up in most people's water supply. So, just being more mindful about it, just doing a couple things to be more mindful about your hydration is important.
Oh, okay. And tea is okay without the
Yes.
sugar. Tea,
Yeah.
tea is fine. Yeah, because I drink tea all day long.
Yeah.
And
Well, some
Michael,
tea has caffeine, so you want to be careful after
yeah.
noon time of drinking tea with caffeine.
And it also matter when it comes to culture and stuff like that. I grew up with the tea. We drink a lot of tea all the time. We drink very little water, a lot of tea. So I'm so used to that, but I do drink green tea.
Good. That's
So
excellent.
yeah, that's what.
Green tea is green tea leaves and water. So you're getting a lot of water.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
So you wear so many hats. Now, how do you balance your life?
It's difficult. I think balance is difficult for everybody, right? I think if you're
Yeah.
doing things that you're happy to do and you have a good social life and you have good family that you want to be around, it's hard to find balance. But I think what's more key is to recognize when you're out of balance and then get yourself back into balance. And so being mindful and self-aware of when you're just not feeling like you're in balance, like you're doing too much of one thing, take some time to do the other things. And so um, balance to me means that every morning I have a morning routine. My morning routine, I follow it no matter what. I get about 15 minutes of exercise in at home. I read for 30 minutes. I spend some time with my children. I drink a hydration drink, to your point, with some added vitamins and everything in it. And that gives me my morning routine that sets me off in the right direction every day. So I feel more balanced. Key there too is I don't check my cell phone until 15, 20 minutes after I wake up. I don't sleep with my cell phone in my room. I keep the cell phone in another room. And all those things are key. And, I think having balance comes more from some sort of daily ritual rather than from trying to constantly reorganize your life because life just throws too many curveballs. It's hard to keep it organized all the time.
We get a lot of questions, especially almost everybody asks me, "Can you please ask them how they balance their life?" And somebody like yourself that does so much, and from outside you look like you have it all in control and you're doing very well. But like you said, I'm glad that you said that life throws some things at you, and if you're unbalanced once in a while, that's okay as long as you have those rituals and how your day look like because you're spending time with your family, you're taking care of yourself as well as you working and you doing all these stuff. So some people think that's a balance, but other ones it just works for you. If it doesn't, don't kill yourself over it. That's okay, right?
Exactly, exactly. Right.
Yeah. So vitamin is there a particular vitamin people should take? Because there's a lot out there. What is your recommendation when it comes to vitamin?
Yeah, I think there's some core supplements that we know everyone should consider taking that most of us are deficient in. That includes vitamin D3, K2. Most people don't get enough sun. Vitamin D is the only vitamin your body makes. Unfortunately, we only make it when we're exposed to sunlight. For fair people, like people that are white skinned, they can be outside for 30 minutes a day and make enough vitamin D for most of them. Most of us never go outside without sunscreen on for 30 minutes a day. And if you have darker skin, you need to be outside longer. So taking a vitamin D3 K2 supplement is key. Also taking a good fish oil supplement, or if you're not, if you're vegetarian or vegan, you can also find omega supplements that are made from plants is also very important. I'm also a big fan of taking a couple of newer supplements that are out there. One is called urolithin A. Another one is called nicotinamide riboside. Chromadex makes nicotinamide riboside. It's called True Niagen. And urolithin A, we make it from our gut cells, but most of our gut doesn't make enough. And you can get that from a supplement called Timeline. Those two supplements actually improve the health of your mitochondria. So they help you make energy for every cellular process in your body. Another supplement is magnesium. Most of us don't have enough magnesium. So I would also think about taking magnesium at night, especially for sleep. Yeah, but those are kind of some core supplements for most people.
Oh, I want that one for the cognition thing and not be tired all the time. Dr. Shah, in this podcast, we talked a lot about inner power and about our own ability to create a life that we want. And and now more than ever, people are realizing how important it is to be balanced, how important it is to self-care and self-talk and take care of yourself before you see any doctors or before you spend a lot of money on yourself to have a perfect life. What does inner power means to you?
Um, what does empowered mean to me is to realize that I have control over my own life, And so um, when you feel out of control, you got to take your control back of your routines and your daily habits. And I keep saying habits and routines because I feel like that's where you can get a lot of empowerment is having a routine. Because not only does it help you continually move your mindset and your body in the right direction with your health and your mental health, but also it gives you that element of control that you have some time to yourself every single day. And that's very empowering as well.
That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. I so agree with you because if you stay consistent and with the little small things, it always add up and make your whole thing. This was
Mhm.
great. And thank you so much for taking time from your busy time to be here and explaining some of the stuff that people have a question about. I really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, Valerie. This was so much fun. Thank you so much. And